Hello students, once again welcome back to the class of physics. So in the previous class actually we discussed the concept of work done by isothermal process as well as work done by adiabatic process. So in this session we are going to study and also we studied in the previous session, that is the second law of thermodynamics, and in that there are two statements. One is Celsius and Clausius statement, and another one is Planck's statement, correct? So the Kelvin Planck statement. So these are the things that we have studied in the previous lecture, and in today's lecture I am going to start another new topic, that is nothing but PV diagram. Actually it was not there in your notes, just go through with this, because if you know what is PV diagram, then only you can understand the working of Carnot cycle. So meanwhile, if you want to understand that particular concept, you must know what is PV diagram. Okay, so we'll study that. So PV diagram. So what do you mean by PV diagram? So if you want to understand this, you must know what is P and what is V. So P is here nothing but pressure, and V is here it is nothing but volume. So by using these two, we are going to plot the graph for an object or a system if it is working under isothermal process, adiabatic, isobaric, isochoric. So all four processes that we can express by using the PV diagram. So how it is, sir? What happens? What will be the kind of curve that we are supposed to get if a system is under work done is under isothermal process? Okay, so that is what we are going to represent here in this graph. That is what we call as PV diagram. So here the pressure, so and volume. So here what we have taken, the pressure and volume. So pressure is taken along y-axis and volume is taken along x-axis. So pressure is taken along y-axis and volume is taken along x-axis. So but then you plot the graph, the resultant graph what we will get, that is nothing but PV graph or PV diagram. Okay, so we have four processes that we know in the application of first law of thermodynamics that we have already studied. What are those, sir? It is nothing but, see, there is a difference between significance and applications. Okay, if they ask in your exam what is the significance of first law of thermodynamics, then you are supposed to write it as the conservation law of energy. What are the applications? If they ask what are the applications of first law of thermodynamics, then you have to write all these 4 or 5 processes, that is isothermal, adiabatic, isobaric, isochoric and cyclic process. Okay, all 5 you are supposed to write in the exam paper if they ask applications of first law of thermodynamics. Fine. Now let us take first one. How do you represent the graph of PV diagram if in case of isothermal process? Let me write isothermal process. You know what do you mean by isothermal process? It is nothing but the process in which the pressure and volume, pressure is inversely proportional to volume, where the temperature of the system will remain constant. If temperature is constant, so pressure and volume keep on varies. So how do you get? So P is proportional to V, correct? If I plot the graph of this, so graph you will get like this. This is P is inversely proportional to V. So right here. So this is P and this is V. If I plot the graph, so obviously if you take any gas, it has some pressure and also it has some volume. If you do some work, either isothermal expansion or compression, okay, so what happens? The volume and pressure, if you increase the pressure, volume keep on changes, correct, keep on increases. If pressure decreases, volume increases. So you will get a graph like this. So this will be the expression, this will be the graph what we used to get in case of isothermal process. So similarly in second one, if you take adiabatic So if you plot a PV diagram, so you will get, so what is adiabatic process? In that, pressure, volume, temperature, all three will get varies. Why? Because in PV diagram, in adiabatic process, there is no exchange of heat between the system and the surrounding, but all three thermodynamic variables goes on changes. So now you will get a graph like this. So this will be the expression for adiabatic. See, what is the difference between isothermal and adiabatic? When you compare these two graphs, so here in adiabatic process, the graph what you will get, it is little steeper. Okay, you can observe here. Okay, when pressure increases, when pressure changes, meanwhile volume also will get changes, keep on changes. But here, so pressure, if there is a large change in the value of pressure, so there is a small change in the value of pressure, there is a large change in the value of volume. But here, both will be of same proportional. So this is a graph what we will get if in case of adiabatic process. Sir, why you are writing all this, sir? Because these things we must know to understand the concept of Carnot engine. Next one, isobaric process. So what happens in isobaric process? So pressure is constant. Correct. In isobaric process, pressure is constant. So this is P and this is V. If pressure is constant, then what happens? Volume keep on changes. Correct. So pressure constant. So somewhere here it is. So this will be the value you will get. The straight line. Why? See, pressure as the volume changes, but there is no change in the value of pressure. Obviously temperature it changes. But we are representing PV diagram by using pressure and volume. But in isobaric process, we know that pressure is constant, then we can represent like this. Similarly, when we come to isochoric. So isochoric process. So when you represent the PV diagram, so here it is P and here it is V. So which is constant here? Here in isochoric process, volume is constant. Then you will get the graph like this. So this will be the graph you will get. See, pressure keep on changing, but there is no change in the value of volume. Volume here it is somewhere, some x value, some 2 meter cube initially. So if you change the pressure, but there is no change in the volume, it is 2 meter cube only. Here also, here some 10 Pascal if you take the pressure. So the pressure keep on changing, the volume keep on changes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that, but the value of pressure remains same, that is 10 only. So this is nothing but PV diagram. Okay, so this will be the value of, in case of isothermal process, you will get the graph like this. Adiabatic, it is a little steeper because here P is inversely proportional to V. Here also, just you have to imagine a system. Okay, when you compress or when you expand, so there is a proportional change in the value of, there is a, see, if you want to find the work done during this case, isothermal, adiabatic, isobaric and isochoric. So how to find the value? See, if you want to find the work done, just find the area under this. Area under this curve. It will give us work done. So if you find out the area of this, it will give you the work done. Similarly here also. So area under this, you will get the work done. Similarly here also. So area under this curve, it will give you the work done. Similarly here 0. So this is all about the PV diagram. Sir, can we represent all these together at one time? Yes, we can easily represent. So isothermal, isobaric, isochoric and adiabatic. So all these four we can represent in one graph. Then how it will looks like? I'll write, see, first you have to write the PV graph, pressure and volume. So first one, isothermal process. So this is for what? Isothermal process. Next, This is for what? Adiabatic process. Adiabatic process. Next one. This is for what? Isobaric process. Baric process. This is for what? Isochoric. Isochoric process. See, when you look at this graph, we have represented all 4 different types of process under one particular diagram. That is what we call as PV diagram. So when you look at this graph, you can easily find out in which case the amount of work done in which case it is maximum. See, isobaric, isothermal, isodiabatic and isochoric. In which case the work done by the gas is maximum? Obviously under isobaric. Why? See, the area under isobaric process, it is large compared to isothermal, adiabatic and isochoric. Okay, so we can say directly, so work done in case of isobaric process is more than other 3. So this kind of question they may ask in your CET or NEET. So out of 4, that is isothermal, adiabatic, isobaric and isochoric, in which process we can get the maximum work done? So obviously, so this will be the answer. So this will be the answer for that. Okay, so this is all about the work done in case of isothermal, PV diagram, representation of PV diagram. So now the next concept which comes here, it is nothing but heat engine. Heat engine. So what do you mean by heat engine? So I think you all have heard this name, heat engine, because when you go back 90s or 80s or 70s, people used to travel in trains, correct? There we are using heat engines. Now we have electrical engines, diesel engines we have, but in the previous year back, 10, 20, 25 years back, when you see the old movies, there you can observe that. See what? So in trains they used to put some charcoal to run. There it will produce heat. So that heat is converted into what? Mechanical energy. Correct? So it will go through the wheels of the train through shaft. Through shaft it will move to the wheels of the train. Then the train will start to move forward. Then it will start to move. That is what we called as heat engine. That we can represent it as. How do we define heat engine? It is nothing but it is a device which is used to convert heat energy into mechanical work. Heat energy into mechanical work. So heat energy into mechanical work. So this is what we called as heat engine. Okay, so see, heat engine, it is a device which we use to convert heat energy into mechanical work. That is what we called as heat engine. Okay, so this heat engine we have, in heat engine we have different types. So different parts we have. What are those, sir? So we have different parts. The first one is hot reservoir. Hot reservoir. Second, that is what we call as source. Second one, working substance. Working substance. That is what we call W. Third one is cold reservoir. Cold reservoir. So we can call it as sink. So these are the 3 main important parts that we can see in case of heat engine. So what is hot reservoir? Hot reservoir, it is nothing but So here in this case it is maintained with very high temperature, that is high temperature, that way we can take it as T1. And the second one is working substance. So depends, so either if we can take diesel engine, so or you can take coal and petroleum products. So what happens when you send heat to the working substance? It will absorb some amount of heat and it will start to do some work, and some amount of heat is converted into work. So then what happens to the rest? So for example, if we take 10 joules of heat, that I'll explain in the working. So next one is cold reservoir. So it is maintained with very low temperature. So that is what we can take it as T2. So hot reservoir heat we can take here in this case it as Q1. Here we can take it as Q2. Q1 is the amount of heat in case of hot reservoir. Q2 is the amount of heat in case of cold reservoir. And the temperature in sink will be taken as T2. Temperature in source or hot reservoir will be taken as T1. Then what is the working of this heat engine, sir? How it will work? I'll tell you. See, this is one of the important topic. They may ask in your exam for 3 marks. So this is a 3-mark question. So what is heat engine and explain the working of heat engine? They may ask like that. Or write the different parts of heat engine that we can see. What are the different parts of heat engine? Okay, so you can write hot reservoir or source, working substance or sink. Then what is the working, sir? How it works? I'll tell you. See, now we have a source here, that I'll take it as source. The amount of heat here in this case it will taken as Q1. Next, working substance, I'll take it as W. And the third one is what? Sink. The amount Q2 will be the heat. So what happens now? See, what is the temperature here in this case of source? It is T1. It is maintained with very high temperature, and that will be taken as T1. And in sink it is maintained with very low temperature, that will be taken as T2. Now what happens? How it works? See, now we are going to send some amount of heat, that is Q1, to the source. So then what happens? This Q1 amount of heat will be given to the working substance. Then it will start to do some work, that it will be taken as W. The amount of work done, either how it works, sir. For example, if you send heat to a system, so what happens? If you take ideal gas, next it comes in Carnot cycle. There you can understand. So what happens if this piston goes up? If the piston goes up, then we can say it is work done by the system, that we can observe. So whether the complete, whatever the amount of heat you supply to the source, does it convert it into work? No. Only some amount of heat is utilized to do work. For example, if you take 10 joules of heat, in that some 5 joules of heat is converted into work. Then what happens to the rest? Rest 5 joules goes to the sink. Okay, so if you send Q1 amount of heat to a working substance, in that certain amount of heat is utilized to do work, then the rest of the heat will goes to the sink, where sink is maintained with very low temperature. There it will compensate. Okay, so then what is the total amount of work done? What is the amount of work done? It will be given as, the total amount of work done will be given as, so work done is equals to how much you send, Q1 amount of heat you send. So in that, how much is went out, that is Q2. So Q1 minus Q2, if you do, you will get the value of total amount of work done. Okay, so this will be the amount of work done in case of heat engine. So then what, sir? Nothing. So rest of the heat will goes to the sink. So this is how it works. So in reverse order, what happens? When you cool down, then what happens? The excess of heat will goes to the sink. Okay, so this is what we called as work done by the system. Okay, so this will be the one of the important concept you have to remember. So the amount of work done in case of heat engine will be given as, if you consider the heat, so it will be taken as Q1 minus Q2. Similarly, if you take the temperature, sir, it will become T1 minus T2. Now if you want to find the efficiency, what will be the efficiency of heat engine? Efficiency of heat engine. So efficiency of heat engine will be given as, it can be represented by eta. Eta is equals to, it is given by the amount of work done divided by the total amount of heat supplied. So it can be written as efficiency given as total output work, or the amount of work done to the total amount of heat energy supplied to the system or supplied to the working substance. What is the total amount of work done? It will be taken as Q1 minus Q2. When you subtract Q1 from Q2, so what you will get? Obviously, for example, okay, let me take some 8 joules of heat is converted into work. Okay, how much you sent? 10. What is the remaining now? Q2 value is what? 2. So 10 minus 2 is what? 8. So that is what we got here. So 8 joule is the total amount of work done. So next, what is the total amount of heat supplied to the system? That is nothing but Q1. Okay, so now further if you simplify, you will get, so split Q1 by Q1 minus Q2 by Q1. So that is given by, so 1 minus Q2 by Q1. So this will be the efficiency of the heat engine. The expression for efficiency of the heat engine will be given as eta is equals to 1 minus Q2 by Q1. So remember one thing, the efficiency of heat engine, it is not 100%. If you take any heat engine, there is no engine has its efficiency 100%. So if you want to get the efficiency of the heat engine as 100%, so what will be, what you are supposed to get here, the value of Q2. So here, if you take the value of Q2 as 0, if you take the value of Q2 as 0, then you will get the efficiency as 100%. So Q2 is equals to 0. So what does it mean? That means that, it means that whatever the amount of heat you supply to the system, it is completely converted into its work. Correct? So eta is equals to what? 1 minus Q2 by Q1. If Q2 is 0, so this whole term is 0. So eta you will get how much? 1. That is nothing but 100% efficiency. We don't have any such kind of engines. It will give the efficiency as 100%. So all the engines, their efficiency, it is always less than 100%. So just keep it in your mind. In your exam, if they ask except refrigerator, that is different thing. Okay. So in your exam, if they ask find out the efficiency of the efficiency of some engine. Okay, there may be Carnot engine or maybe heat engine, depends, whatever may be the question it is. But keep it in your mind, if it is in your option, if the value is given in terms of 1 point something, then don't consider that option. That option must be wrong, because the answer must be in terms of 0 point something. So this is how you are supposed to get. So this is all about the heat engine and its efficiency. So I hope you all understood. So just go through with this. If you have any doubt, just post your doubts in the group. There we will discuss. So in the next video, in the next session, we are going to start another topic, that is nothing but Carnot engine. So we'll see in the next session what do you mean by Carnot engine, what will be the efficiency of Carnot engine, what are the different parts that we can see in case of Carnot engine. That all we will discuss in the next class.